Good day! We are here to present our study entitled The Impact of Big Five Traits on Filipino Coping Styles of College Students from Selected Colleges and Universities in Metro Manila. So without further ado, let's start. The Big Five personality, also known as Ocean or Kano, consists of openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Before the Big Five was formed, there used to be 4,000 to 4,500 personality traits, and these traits came from Alport's risk, Cattell's factors, and Einstein's theory. McRae and Costa were the ones who finalized the Big Five traits, and the Big Five personality plays an important role in this study since it will serve as a guide to determine the traits that an individual has and if it affects the coping style of an individual. Now, coping strategies were defined by Skinner as basic techniques that individuals use to be able to manage feelings, thoughts, and actions. But since we are here in the Philippines, we use various Filipino coping strategies. These strategies were generated from quantitative foreign assessments and qualitative local studies. The Filipino coping strategy consists of 9 domains, and later on I will explain this much further. We chose this topic because it can benefit the researchers and the students who were involved in the study. Not only it would help us understand and know if there is a relationship between the Big Five traits and the Filipino coping style, it would also help the students understand better of themselves. This study would also benefit providing solutions to unhealthy coping styles that a personality trait may encounter. Next is the variable of this study. The independent variable in this study is the Big Five personality traits, which consist of openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Moving forward, the dependent variable is the Filipino coping style, which our cognitive reappraisal refers to adjusting one's perspective on the problem's assumptions. Social support refers to the emotional and physical support that can be found through family or friends. Problem solving refers to discovering answers to problems that cause stress. Religiosity refers to religious beliefs. Tolerance pertains to enduring difficulties and stress without exerting effort. And emotional Emotional release refers to venting out emotions. Overactivity is defined as an overextension of one's task. Relaxation, recreation refers to doing something to ease or reduce stress. And lastly, substance abuse, which refers to use of addictive substance. So, the research problem consists of 3 questions, and these are: number 1, do Big Five personality traits influence the coping styles of college students? Number 2, which specific coping styles are positively related to Big Five personality traits? And last, which Big Five personality traits have a negative relationship with coping style? Next presenter.
Subject and respondents. So using the method of Green 1991, the total sample is 109 respondents. So why is it very specific? So sample size is equals to 104 plus K. So the K is the number of independent variable, which is the Big Five trait. So it's 5. So 104 plus 5, therefore 109 respondents. So the subject are the students from selected colleges and universities in Metro Manila. We choose to have a lot of respondents from different schools so that we can be able to provide more relevant and generalized results. So we also gather data using stratified sampling and label them per college or university. So 113 is the total number of respondents. Next slide, please. So in the research method, the researchers disseminated the survey questionnaires by using Google Forms since it's still COVID pandemic. The survey was conducted online. The content of the survey will consist of consent form, demographic profile, measurement of Big Five traits, and scale for Filipino coping style. Second, the researcher used person-R correlation to assess if there is a relationship between the Filipino coping style and Big Five personality traits. So person-R is a statistical treatment that is set to apply for the study since it is a correlation. The data that the researchers acquired from the respondents was downloaded to Microsoft Excel and was analyzed with Jamovi version 16.2.23. Next slide, please. So these are the hypotheses for the study. First, in the first part, the researcher wanted to check if some of the coping styles do not have a relationship with Big Five traits. In the second part, the researchers wanted to prove if some of the Big Five traits in Filipino coping styles might have a positive or negative correlation with each other. And lastly, the researchers chose the hypothesis to check since neuroticism and substance abuse are both negative. There might also be a chance that neuroticism can create an influence with substance abuse since being neurotic is prone to mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Thank you, and next reporter, please.
Next is instrumentation. So to measure the variables, the researchers adopted and utilized the Filipino Coping Strategy Scale developed by Rilveria from 2018. It is written in both English and Tagalog translation. The scale is 37-item scale with 4-point Likert format. So 1 implicates never, 2, 4 implicates often. So here we can see on the table that each domain of the Filipino coping strategies is reliable. The highest is religiosity or pagkalyoso with a conduct alpha of 0.950, and the lowest is relaxation recreation with a conduct alpha of 0.600. So the overall reliability in this scale is 0.716. Next slide, please. So the researchers also utilized the VIG-5 inventory scale developed by Oliver John and Sanjay Srivastava to measure the 5 personality dimensions. The scale is a 44-item scale with 5-point-like format. So 1 indicating strongly disagree to 5 indicating strongly agree. So each dimension of the scale is reliable with an overall reliability of 1.83. So the highest is extraversion with a conduct alpha of 0.88 and the lowest is agreeableness with a conduct alpha of 0.79. Next, results. So table 1 to 5 shows the result of demographic statistics of the respondents. So table 1 represents the frequencies of age. The age range of the participants are 18 to 25 years old, and the highest count is 54 with the age of 21 years old. Next slide. So table 2 is presents the frequencies of sex. So female dominated the number of respondents with a total count of 70. Next slide. Table 5 presents the frequencies of socioeconomic status. The highest count is 65 and it reveals to be participants with an average monthly income of more than 15,000 but will not exceed 65,000 pesos. Next slide. So table 6 presents the reliability of measures. So the conduct alpha of each domain of both independent and dependent variable, we can see on the table that both scales are reliable. The highest is religiosity with the conduct alpha of 0.946 and the lowest is openness with a conduct alpha of 0.667. Next slide. So the correlation matrix of Big Five and these Filipino coping strategies were computed to determine or see if there are correlation between the two. So the results indicate that cognitive reappraisal has a significant positive correlation with openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness. It has also negative correlation with neuroticism. Next, social support has no correlation with any Big Five traits. Next is problem solving. Problem solving has a significant positive correlation with openness, conscientiousness, and agreeableness. It has also negative correlation with neuroticism, but problem solving has no correlation with extraversion. Next is religiosity. Religiosity has significant positive correlation with conscientiousness and extraversion. It has also negative correlation with neuroticism, but it has no correlation with openness and agreeableness. Next is tolerance, has significant positive correlation with neuroticism. It, it was also negatively associated with conscientiousness and extraversion. But tolerance has no correlation with openness and agreeableness. Next is emotional release. Emotional release has a positive significant correlation with neuroticism and has also negative correlation with agreeableness. But emotional release has no correlation with openness, conscientiousness, and extraversion. Next is overactivity. It has positive significant correlation with neuroticism and has negative correlation with conscientiousness and agreeableness, but it has no correlation with openness and extraversion. Next is relaxation recreation. It has significant positive correlation with conscientiousness, but it has no correlation with openness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Last is substance use. Substance use has no correlation with any Big Five traits. So that's the last for the results. Next presenter, please.
All right, so now let us proceed on to the discussion part. So, there is a significant relationship between cognitive reappraisal and Big Five traits. Cognitive reappraisal is about changing one's perspective in regards to the circumstance an individual is dealing with, according to Gross and John 2003. A study conducted by Shi et al. 2018 supports this idea as it was found that openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, and agreeableness predicts the recurrence of this coping strategy. Gresham and Gallon 2012 emphasized that higher levels of extroversion and openness could predict cognitive reappraisal. It was also found that neuroticism to be negatively correlated to cognitive reappraisal because according to a study, neurotic individuals leads to pessimistic thinking instead of taking ways to control the situation according to Shi et al. 2018. There is also a significant relationship between problem solving, openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, and neuroticism. A study entitled An Investigation of the Relationship Between Personality Dimensions and Stress Coping Styles by Karimzad and Beshra 2011 revealed that openness, conscientiousness, and agreeableness have a positive correlation to problem-focused coping styles. Meanwhile, in a study conducted by Babay et al. 2018, it was observed that neurotic individuals have the tendency to just give up with their problems. Next would be there is a significant relationship between religiosity, conscientiousness, extroversion, and neuroticism. Individuals who score high in conscientiousness are predictable to be religious as they possess characteristics such as disciplined, well organized, and mindful of their priorities, according to Koynezad et al. 2012. McCullough et al. 2003 had also observed that individuals who are conscientious at a young age leads to higher religiousness in early adulthood. On the other hand, a study by McCullough-Willoughby 2009 shows that religious beliefs are negatively associated with neuroticism and are highly associated with extroversion. There is also a significant relationship between tolerance and neuroticism, conscientiousness, and extroversion. According to Asang, high levels of neuroticism leads to incapacity to tolerate stress. Bartley and Rouge 2011 suggested that conscientious individuals have high tolerance to stress as they tend to look for ways to manage the situation. Further, in terms of extroversion, even though individuals who score high in this trait are known to be outgoing and sociable, there is also a possibility that their struggles may result to intolerance, according to Cherry K 2022. There is a significant relationship between emotional release, neuroticism, and agreeableness because according to Chez's 2022, neurotic individuals tend to empathize and understand the struggle of others, as well as they tend to be more self-aware in handling emotions. A study revealed that ego depletion or self-regulatory depletion can moderate the association of agreeableness and negative emotional response, according to Finley et al. 2017. Also, there is a significant relationship between overactivity, neuroticism, and conscientiousness. The findings from a related study show that individuals who score high in neuroticism tend to exert higher level of effort as they perceive that it influences their productivity than others, according to Smiley et al. 2006. While on the other hand, conscientious individuals tend to become perfectionists as they have high standards in what they do, hence, once they are overworked, it can lead to burnout, according to Haas 2018. Next would be there is a significant relationship between relaxation or recreation and conscientiousness. A study suggested that relaxation or recreation is positively correlated to conscientiousness as it can help individuals who score high in this trait to take a break as they accomplish their goals, and it would be an advantage for them to recover after dealing with a stressful task, according to Scott 2020. Lastly, according to Abbasi 2011, neurotic individuals may rely on inefficient ways to combat stress. Another study supported that adolescents who are experiencing psychological concerns have the possibility of being exposed to smoking as a way to deal with stress, according to Kuzi about 2011. However, it contradicts the hypothesis that neuroticism predicts substance use. So in conclusion, the Big Five traits influences certain coping styles of the college students in selected colleges and universities in Metro Manila. The results have been examined and were compared with related studies, and it is evident that the findings are not all consistent based on the response of the participants. Lastly, the results contradict the hypothesis that neuroticism predicts substance use, as mentioned in the previous chapter. So this would be the recommendations. So first, it would be recommended to increase the number of respondents to have a better generalization for the study. Second, to conduct in-person survey because due to the restrictions imposed caused by the pandemic, the researchers were limited to conducting surveys using online platforms. However, it might have influenced the perspective of the respondents since people are encouraged to just stay at home. Third, future researchers may use a mediating variable to test if there are any other factors that may affect the variables used in the study. And it is also recommended to use another group of participants to provide additional point of view and more diverse results. And lastly, this study can be useful as a guide to acquire knowledge about the correlation of the variables. So that is all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.